Hello dear students, welcome to EduHunt IIT NEET Academy. We have already discussed some of the structure of ear, which is a hearing organ, sense organ. We all know that hearing is possible only because of ears, but one more main function of ears in addition to hearing is body balance. They maintain balance, body balance. So that is the most and important function of ears. We have also seen that the ear consists of three parts: external ear, which is called pinna, which receives signals, and also it leads to the canal-like structure which ends with a membrane called eardrum or tympanic membrane, and through which it leads to the middle and then the internal ear. And we know there are three bones in the middle ear. Can you guess what they are? Yes, some of you know that these are malleus, incus and stapes. And the important question about these bones is, which is the smallest bone in the body? Not only among these three, we have 206 bones in our body. Among these 206, the smallest bone is the stapes. Anyway, let us move on to the actual structure. We have seen pinna, which is made up of, which is supported by the cartilage, that is soft bone. And then there are ossicles, three ossicles which I have mentioned: malleus, incus and stapes. And then the internal ear. The internal ear is made up of two structures, that is bony labyrinth and membranous labyrinth. The bony labyrinth and membranous labyrinth are present in the internal ear, filled with fluid. The bony labyrinth filled with the fluid called the perilymph, and the membranous labyrinth filled with endolymph. And there are two bag-like structures in the membranous labyrinth called utriculus and sacculus, which we have also mentioned in our previous video. Between these two, utriculus and sacculus, which is larger? Yes, utriculus is larger than the sacculus, and both these chambers, the utriculus and sacculus, are connected by a canal called sacculo-utricular duct. Sacculo-utricular duct is the canal which connects the bag-like structures of the labyrinth, membranous labyrinth, the utriculus and the sacculus. A tiny endolymphatic duct opens into the sacculo-utricular duct, and this endolymph opens into the endolymphatic sac situated at the back of the skull, on the other side of the skull. And utriculus is comparatively larger than the sacculus, and there are three semicircular canals in the utriculus. One is the anterior or the superior semicircular canal, and second is the posterior semicircular canal, and third is the external or lateral or horizontal semicircular canal. These are the three semicircular canals present in the utriculus. Utriculus lo moodu semicircular canals untai. One is the anterior, which is also called the superior, and second one is the posterior, and third is the external or lateral or horizontal semicircular canal. ఈ మూడు కూడా ఎక్కడ ఉంటాయంటే మెంబ్రేనస్ లేబరింత్ లో ఉన్న ఒక సాక్, దట్ ఈస్ యూట్రిక్యులస్ లో ఉంటాయి. మనకి ఒక విషయం చెప్పామంటే కన్ఫ్యూజన్ స్టార్ట్ అవుతుంది. వినేటప్పుడు క్లియర్గా క్లారిటీతో వింటే ఎలాంటి కన్ఫ్యూజను ఉండదు. ఓన్లీ టూ బ్యాగ్ లైక్ స్ట్రక్చర్స్ ఇన్ ద మెంబ్రేనస్ labyrinth ఆర్ utriculus and sacculus. I am now explaining about the utriculus, the first bag like structure of the membranous labyrinth, which has three semicircular canals, and all the three semicircular canals are attached to each other. They are arranged at right angles to each other, that is 90 degrees angle to each other, and open into utriculo-saccular duct. Anterior and posterior canals are again connected by small canal called, the joining canal is called the serous commune. Serous commune is the small canal like structure which joins the anterior and posterior semicircular canals of the utriculus, and the distant end or the edge of each semicircular canal is little bit swollen, called the ampulla. Ampulla is the swollen distal part of the semicircular canal, and sacculus is smaller. As I said, its backside is coiled like a spring. It is called cochlear canal. Cochlear canal is the spring-like coiled structure present in the sacculus. Backside of the sacculus, there is a coiled structure, spring-like structure like this. Coiled spring-like structure called the cochlear canal. It is also known as lagina. Lagina is the spring-like structure present in the sacculus called the cochlear canal. The length of the cochlear canal in human being, it is 2/3 to 3/4, and in rabbit and whale it is lesser than this, and these are respectively, I'll give you the measurements exactly. In rabbit 2.5, and in whale 1.5 coils respectively. In human 2 3/4, and then in rabbit 2.5 circles, and in whale coils. In whale it is 1.5 coils respectively. Cochlear canal is connected to the sacculus by a small duct called ductus reunions. Ductus reunions is a small duct or the small canal which the cochlear canal reaches or leads or joins the sacculus. All the coils of the cochlear canal are connected together by ligaments. And then in the center of the coils of cochlea in human, there are present pillar-like structures called the modulus. This is central pillar-like structures. These are present in human beings. Yes. Cochlear coils లో pillar-like structures ఉంటాయి. ఈ pillar-like structures నే modulus అని అంటాం. హ్యూమన్ లోనే ఉంటాయి ఇవి. And let us see the internal structure of the ear. Internal structure చూస్తే the membranous labyrinth consists of two walls, the outer and the inner wall. The outer wall is connected, which has a vascular supply, which has a connective tissue, and the inner wall is made up of cuboidal epithelium. It is lined by cuboidal epithelium, the inner wall, and the outer wall has the connective tissue supplied with blood capillaries. And then the membranous labyrinth is empty inside, and it is filled with a fluid called the endolymph, which is milky mucilaginous liquid-like structure. And distal end of each semicircular canal are swollen, and we have already discussed that these swollen distal ends of the semicircular canals are called the ampullae. Ampulla is a singular one, ampullae is plural. In this ampulla, internal cuboidal epithelium, they form a ridge-like projections called acoustic ridge. Acoustic ridge. These acoustic ridges are the internal cuboidal epithelial structures. These are projection-like. The cuboidal epithelium consists of projections made up of these cuboidal epithelium present in the cochlear ridge-like structure, and these are called the microvilli. Microvilli, as we have seen in small intestine. Small intestine lo kuda microvilli, these are finger-like projections. Ikkada pillar-like projections annaru, akkada finger-like projections antaru. They absorb the digested food. Absorb cheyadaniki mana intestine lo, small intestine lo untayi. Alanti microvilli ikkada, but these are called the pillar-like structures. They have the cuboidal, they are made up of cuboidal epithelial tissue, and then they have this acoustic ridge has some sensory cells of acoustic ridge. ఈ రిడ్జ్ మీద సెన్సరీ సెల్స్ ఉంటాయి. మనకి కంట్లో ఎలా అయితే సెన్సరీ సెల్స్ లైక్ రాడ్స్ అండ్ కోన్స్ ఉంటాయో, ఇక్కడ కూడా సెన్సరీ సెల్స్, ఫ్రీ ఎడ్జెస్ ఆఫ్ సెన్సరీ సెల్స్ ఆఫ్ acoustic ridge have these microvilli, the pillar-like structures, and these microvilli are abundant in this ridge, and these are called stereocilia. Stereocilia are the microvilli. They are abundant in the ridge of the cochlear canal, and along with these there are found a single movable cilium called the kinocilium. Kinocilium is the single movable cilium. Yes, single movable cilium is present, that is called the kinocilium. And then the sensory cells are situated in the internal ear, are in contact with the small nerves, nerve cells, neurons, small neurons which have in connection with the brain. The branch of auditory nerve, that is vestibular nerve, is connected to the sensory cells of the internal ear. Internal ear dento connect ayi undi nerves, and all these nerves combine to form a vestibular nerve. Ante మన కంటికి ఎలా అయితే ఆప్టిక్ నర్వ్ ఉంటుందో, ఇంటర్నల్ ఇయర్స్ కూడా not only internal ear, the ear itself has in connection has nerves in connection with the brain, because whatever the sound waves it receives, it has to sense these in the form of these have to be converted in the form of a chemical and other signals which are perceived by the brain. And sensory cristae and maculae, sensory cristae and maculae, these are somewhat like ridge like structures or folding like structures, are related with the equilibrium of the body. Just now we have seen that these are the branch of auditory nerve, vestibular nerves, which are branch of auditory nerve, which have in connection with the sensory cells of the ear. but these are for hearing. But along with hearing, I mentioned that it has another important function, that is the balancing, that is maintaining the balance of the body when it is in rest or in static position, or we move while in locomotion also. It has to balance the body. This is under the control of the ears. This balance is maintained by the ears, and it has cristae and maculae. They are the structures to maintain body equilibrium. ఓకే, ఇప్పటి వరకు మనము ఇంటర్నల్ స్ట్రక్చర్ ఆఫ్ ఇయర్ చూసాం కదా. ఇంటర్నల్ స్ట్రక్చర్లో membranous labyrinth, bony labyrinth. Again, bony labyrinth filled with perilymph and endolymph filled in membranous labyrinth. Membranous labyrinth, bony labyrinth ఇవి ఐసోలేటెడ్గా ఉండవు, దే హ్యావ్ అ కనెక్షన్. అలాగే మనం membranous labyrinthలో సాక్యులస్, యూట్రిక్యులస్ ఉంటాయని. యూట్రిక్యులస్ ఈజ్ లార్జర్ దాన్ ద సాక్యులస్. అండ్ యూట్రిక్యులస్ చూస్తే యూట్రిక్యులస్లో కొన్ని structures, these are utriculus and saculus are the bag like structures, and they have joining called the joining canal called the saculo-utricular duct, and other structures like semicircular canals, anterior, posterior and lateral or horizontal semicircular canals ఉంటాయని. అలాగే ఈ semicircular canals edges, the swollen edges ampulla అంటామని, ఇంకా అదర్ డీటెయిల్స్ అన్నీ కూడా చూసాం కదా. ఇంకా నెక్స్ట్ సెషన్లో మనం ఇంకా డీటెయిల్డ్గా ఇంటర్నల్ ఇయర్ గురించి తెలుసుకుందాం. బాయ్ బాయ్.